at Liberty Tax at where the motor vehicle place is.
Right at Rice-Side Road? Yeah, no,
That's still open.
That's still open.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, we're looking at every single return. Last year, we audited 1,100 people from these same tax services. Audited them, okay? Wrote them and said, because I don't have the subpoena powers, could you please provide verification of the business deductions that are listed on your tax return prepared by these Liberty Tax folks? 1,100 audit letters went out. We heard from 50 people out of 1,100. The other 1,050 dropped our audit request, because that's all it is, in the trash bin.
Oh, because you have no power.
The 50 that got back to us, the vast majority said, business? I don't have any business.
Whoa.
I mean, really? Me? I have a business? You mean the whole tax return is just a piece of fiction? So that's why we need to have some teeth, because if we write letters and people just drop them in the trash bin, it's the taxpayers like you and me who end up paying for fraudulent refunds. So thank you all very much for letting me and putting up with this. And if someone's got a question, if I haven't put you all to sleep. Yes, sir.
Well, I think you have done that, but I think you're doing a fine job. I'm Louis Fields, and I voted for you.
Well, thank you.
I really would have preferred to have voted for you as governor.
Uh,
Here's my question. But first of all, I want to
Thank
thank
you.
the best city councilwoman in Baltimore City, Ms. Sharon J. Miller.
Yeah.
Here's my question. I have two questions for the controller, and basically it deals with your vote on the Board of Public Works.
Correct.
That's the money board, if you will. My two questions are, one, the governor has talked about delaying construction on some HBCs and other higher education institutions to build a six-story, $480 million jail. Your vote, your advocacy to stop that, I would ask for. And secondly, I'm very concerned about the Maryland law under the Maryland Department of Environment that allows a landlord to rent houses that have lead paint in them, although they have to do lead paint reduction. Maryland law allows that landlord to still lease or rent that property to people that live in there. And you know, that's a big problem for our young people, children particularly. So we need to know, even though I understand you're the controller, but still you have that major vote of 3
Sure.
votes. We need your help on those.
Be happy to take a look at both of them. Thank you for bringing up the Board of Public Works, because I not only collect your taxes and give you, well, $2 billion in refunds to 2 million Maryland families, which, by the way, we return on average within 2.1 business days.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking after the fraud. Uh-oh. Maybe a call from India. Yeah, we're on our way, guys. You know, there's a tension between, because we're spending so much time looking at fraud, people say, well, you're not going to slow up my tax refund if it's an honest one. And we try not to.
Right.
Upon receipt of your electronically filed return, we returned over 2 million refunds totaling $2.2 billion, averaging 2.1 business days. Upon us receiving your tax refund request and us putting your refund, your money, in your bank. That's pretty unbelievable. And anyone that dealt with the health exchange knows that that's an accomplishment because it works. And we test it over and over again. So on the Board of Public, I not only bring all the money in, I look at it, and we're looking at all the economic data, and frankly, it's not that great right now, but I have a lot of confidence in the United States, I have a lot of confidence in Maryland, but I have to say the economy is not hitting on all cylinders. But every 2 weeks, I get together with the governor and the treasurer, and we vote on average $450 million in state spending every 2 weeks. These big contracts come before the board. And the gentleman was referring to 2 of them. I'll definitely keep an eye on those. And you all should, George, you should probably look on the governor's website because these meetings are advertised in advance as to what the contracts are, and they're not small contracts. They're big contracts. Problem is that they're not all completely on the level, because you get a $150 million contract over 5 years for some service that you think is pretty commonly provided, and it's got one bid. One bid. And I'm sorry to report, invariably, that turns out to be the incumbent vendor, the person that's got the contract already. So you put your hand up and say, this is not right, and there's always a lot of pushback, because these are very rich contracts, and breaking them up and getting competition injected into the process is not particularly easy, but on the 2 items that you brought up, we'll get back to you as soon as we see them scheduled. Yes, sir.
Mr. Franchot, I want to ask a question. Since our governor has been over to Japan and looked at this monorail system, what are your thoughts in the connection between Maryland and Washington and that whole concept of that monorail that they look at?
Yeah, it's actually not a monorail. It's called the maglev, which is these high-speed trains. I happen to be big fans of it. I think ultimately we will have a maglev between Washington and New York City, and Baltimore will be a very important part of that. The controversy is that the governor turned down the Red Line, which was a more conventional mass transit system for Baltimore, and then he went over to Japan and rode this train and thought that was great. I happen to support the maglev and the Red Line too. Red Line had $900 million in federal support. So that was, I also supported the Purple Line in my area down in Montgomery County, which he did go forward on. But the fact of the matter is, mass transit is the only conceivable way that we can continue to have urban areas flourish, because people have to get from where they live to where they work or where they go to school. Anybody ever try to get a bus from Dundalk over to Towson? It's like a 2-week trip. Anyway, there's a lot of work to be done. There's enough blame on mass transit, particularly in the Baltimore County contribution to, it's not just the governor that can be criticized for lack of mass transit planning in this area. And we need to do a lot of work to improve what we have and try to get the Red Line back on track. But this maglev, if it goes through, most of it would have to be paid for by the private sector because the government can't afford it. But it's the future. I mean, you mentioned monorail. Monorail's the future too. I mean, we just got to get out of our cars and realize that we're all going to be, well, particularly the new generations, they don't want to live in the suburbs. They want to live. They want to live downtown.
Does your office,
Yeah, I got in all sorts of trouble by getting into that. I should just stick to tax fraud.
does your office have opportunities for internships? You have summer youth programs?
Yeah, we have a very active summer internship program. We ask that our kids that we bring on for 6 weeks at least have started college. And
we did participate in the city youth program with Baltimore City we did last summer.
If I told you how
You
much
say it goes through Youth Works?
Yes.
It does go through Youth Works?
Yes, we had about 20 students last summer in the Baltimore complex.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I ran for comptroller because we and Donald Schaefer, remember how great, well, he's an iconic figure, he's like Babe Ruth, but I'll never forget at one Board of Public Works meeting, he said, I want to know on this contract, it was had a big women and minority component to it, he said, I want to know when this MBE is going to END. I said, well, that's a curious statement from a statewide official. When is the whole idea of bringing new talent, new skills, new individuals into our contracting. You know, when did that become something we were going to END? So instead of ENDing it, I went and ran and won, and now we're expanding it left and right. At the pension system, I'm on the system's board of trustees. We're now investing, get this, $3 billion with women and minority money managers.
Excellent.
What?
Excellent.
Yeah, $3 billion. When I first got elected there, we were investing 0%. Didn't have a single woman or minority money manager. Now we have 84 of them.
Wow.
And guess what? They're knocking the socks off the men. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate you shutting down those fraudulent tax repairs. I wanted to get your opinion, just for everybody else, about some of the good guys, like the cash campaign.
Yes.
And kind of, if you could educate everybody else on people who do help and who do it the right way.
Yeah, I'm in love with the cash campaign. Just creating assets through savings and hope.